Well, welcome back to day 4 of our 5-day self-love workshop, coming today from an undisclosed location. And I would like to also mention or thank folks for the comments and the emails that the email comments and questions that people have sent in. We will kind of walk through those or answer some of those as we go through today. Again, I think let's begin with a bit of a summary of where we've been over the past few days. And Odile, would you like to take us through that and give us an idea of the agenda for today?
Yes, I would love to do that. Okay. Well, oh, there we go. I'm sorry. I'm replying to someone in the chat, and I was trying to do a heart and I couldn't find the bracket on my computer at this level. It's up. It's on a thing, but I found the thing. Okay. All
You're
right. Yes.
okay.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. All right. So, um, as we said at the beginning of this workshop, uh, so there's two parts to self-love, and we did the first part, which is the brain chemistry, brain and body chemistry, in the first 2 days, days 1 and 2. Yesterday, which was day 3, we did the first piece of the unconscious references. So the first piece of the second part, which is unconscious references. And so yesterday we went into how our implicit childhood memories affect our adult lives and affect how we feel about ourselves, whether that's self-love or criticism or judgment. And we did the detective work. We went over the detective work of finding those memories. Today, we're going to go into how to change the negative memories that are at the roots of those limiting self-belief and patterns. So before we get started on that, I wanted to just answer a question from an email I received. So first of all, thank you so much to everyone who's sending emails and the comments, thanking us and giving us that feedback. It's so wonderful to hear that you're finding these sessions helpful. So one of the emails I received after yesterday's live was from someone who had very, very serious childhood trauma, very serious and ongoing childhood trauma. And this person was asking if this process can still work or if too much damage has been done. So I wanted to answer that before we get into it. First of all, the short answer is yes, absolutely, this can work. However, we don't recommend addressing trauma memories on your own. Because it can be very intense and it can be very difficult, if not impossible, to do it on your own. So we don't recommend that. We always recommend seeing a professional, therapists, medical professionals, mental health professionals. You can do this as well as getting medical help. So it's not an either or, and we always recommend consulting a medical professional, of course. So you do that as well. Now, also, as far as changing trauma memories goes, we don't recommend doing it on your own. We do have certified practitioners who are trained and certified by us. They work independently, so you would contact them separately, directly. And I will put a link in the description of this video and in the pinned comment to that list of practitioners so that you can find someone who can help you if you're addressing any trauma memories or if you just need help in general with the process of finding and changing childhood memories. So having said that, the next piece I need to explain about this is this is not about denying what happened. It's not about gaslighting or gaslighting yourself or brainwashing yourself. And it's not about letting those people off the hook. So when when people have wronged us, especially, people we trusted in childhood, have, caused us harm or betrayed us and that kind of thing, it can be a natural feeling to go, I don't want to change those memories because that's letting them get away with it. So that's a natural thing to think. And here's what's really going on. Those, first of all, what you're doing inside your own brain has nothing to do with anyone else. Nobody even needs to know you're doing it. This is not to do with letting them off the hook. It's not about forgiving them. It's not about changing them. It has absolutely nothing to do with them. This is between you and your neurons, right? So, what you're doing is literally changing the neural networks in your own brain, and it has nothing to do with other people. So, that's one piece of this. The second piece is that those events that you experienced in your childhood are, of course, no longer happening now. And we can't go back in time and change the original event, of course. We wish we could, but we can't do that. What we're doing is changing the references, the neural networks in your own brain. Now, the reason this is so important to do is because although those events are history, they're no longer happening right now, to the unconscious part of your brain, they are happening right now. So the unconscious part of the brain has no sense of linear time. So while you consciously know that what happened when I was 8 years old or whatever, that happened in my childhood, I am no longer a child, it's not happening anymore, the unconscious part of your brain doesn't have that ability to determine between the past and the present and the future. So, to the unconscious part of your brain, those things are still happening now. Those people are still doing what they did. So, that's why we want to change it for the unconscious part of the brain. While you will consciously still know that's what originally happened, it happened when I was that age, and it's not happening now, then the unconscious part of your brain will believe the new memories, which means it will then be referring to evidence that proves that you are valuable, that you are safe, that you are worthy of your own love as well as other people's love. So hopefully that piece is clear, but of course, let us know in the chat or the comments if you need more clarification on that or you have any questions about that. I'm also going to put the link to the science behind this in the description and in the pinned comment, so that you can, if for those who are interested, you can go and check on the neuroscience behind this process. Steve, was there anything else sort of along those lines, the conscious, unconscious, or any
Uh,
questions?
I was just going to mention briefly, I know that the working with trauma and working, that feeling that's there, that innate feeling that it feels like that this is such a damaging thing that happened to me, and
Mm,
that feeling of this will never change, all of that type of feeling uh, is certainly there when we're dealing with traumatic issues in the past. However, that is also at play with everything that we've experienced in the past. There's this sense or this belief that this happened to me and there's nothing that I can do to change that.
right.
So I'm just, pointing that out, that what we're doing is addressing that in
Yeah.
in this particular modality. And the other thing that I wanted to say regarding uh, this work helping, or this work being effective for changing traumatic memories, I've had incredible success working with people that have had were decades, 60, 70 years, that have been carrying around these traumatic childhood memories. And, I'm cautious to be careful what kind of language I'm using to describe, uh, the trauma that people are dealing with. But absolutely, we can effectively change how we're holding and how our brain is reacting to that information. And that's the process that we're taking you through here today. So it's not
Absolutely.
It's not about erasing, it's not about trying to delete something. It's about changing how our brain and our body is reacting to that old information. So that process of memory reconsolidation is what we're talking about.
Yeah, and I would want to clarify that we are literally changing the data. So this is not we're not just changing how we interpret the event or our experience of the event. We are literally changing completely the data. But the key is that we will still consciously remember. So I'm going to give you. I'm going to take you through a an analogy, and I'm going to share my screen for this because this is something that I did just yesterday or day before. I can't remember now. It was a couple of days ago. And in the car this morning, I said to Steve, that'll make a great analogy. So oops, well, what have I done? What we do is so yesterday we took you through the detective process. So hopefully you have a list of memories from that exercise yesterday. As we mentioned yesterday, we won't be going into any of the memories. We're just going to refer to them. So for this process, it's like a dipping your toe in a hot bath. So we don't want to get into the bath. We want to just test it. And I'll take you through that process in a moment. So first of all, the analogy I want to use for what we're doing is coding. So computer coding. One of the analogies we often use is changing your GPS. So you change the coordinates in the GPS so that the GPS guides you to the new destination, while you as the driver still remember where you were before. In the same way, you're changing these negative memories that are determining the results you get in your life right now to the opposite, positive, empowering, so that you get different results in your life right now, while you will still consciously know what originally happened. So the coding analogy, I'm going to share my screen. So a couple of days ago, I decided to create this. Can you see my screen, Steve?
Uh, Give it just a second. There's a little bit of a delay or a lag. Uh,
Okay. So I'll
there you go.
explain it in the meantime.
We're good to
Great,
go.
thanks. So a couple of days ago, I created this little sort of dashboard thing for for you guys. And I'm going to share the link to this page in the description again and the comment, the pinned comment. But when I created this, and I was creating it using a thing called Replit, which is fantastic. I've only just started, and it's quite a learning curve, but it's really good. You can see our logo here at the top. Now, when Replit created this page, it put a placeholder logo. So it just kind of made up any old logo and popped that there. And I had to take that out and replace it with our real logo. And it took quite a lot of, it was quite a learning curve and a lot of back and forth with ChatGPT. But eventually, what I had to do is similar to what we're doing with the memories. So this is what we can see. This is the results that we're experiencing. And let's say, so before I changed it, there was the wrong logo here. So in the equivalent of that is I'm experiencing, I can't love myself, or I've got judgment of myself. I had to go into the code. So if you can see now, I've clicked on this tab here, and this shows you the code behind that page. So this code is what creates the page. And I had to change this piece here. So I had to upload our new logo into this folder, our new logo there. I had to delete the other logo, put this logo there, and then change this code so that when we look at the page, it results in our actual real logo as opposed to the other one. In the same way, we are replacing the negative memory with the positive memory so that we get the results that we want. And you'll notice that I'm able to tell you that I replaced the old logo with the new logo because I, as the user, can still remember. But my this page, this code doesn't know that. It's just putting forward what it's got. So I hope that helps to kind of explain it a little bit, on that level, on the sort of technical level. Um, and we are literally physically changing connections in the brain. So this isn't sort of airy fairy stuff. All right. So, Steve, do you think that's enough of an explanation of that side of it before we go into actually doing it?
Well, I think that engaging in the process will also help a bit more. That the process that we're using, we can't really actually get underneath the hood, or we can't physically see what's going on, but we're in the process of creating new neural pathways. And as we are strengthening those, rehearsing these new neural pathways, we are feeling something different. So, yeah,
Yes,
as we get,
exactly.
it'll start to make a little bit more sense.
Yes, absolutely. And I love Madrone 77 says the good thing is that you don't have to learn programming language to change your own logo. Exactly. If that was the case, I would definitely not have that page. So, right. So let's go into giving it a go. So before we start, you'll need the little exercise, the beginner's exercise that you learned on day one of this workshop. And if you haven't got that, of course, press pause on this video and just go and watch day one and get the hang of that little exercise. So picking something from your list of memories that's not very strong, so that it's not a very strong memory, just to test it out. And in fact, I think what's even better is let's use something that is just from recent and is not very important, not very stressful. So in other words, just something that somebody cut you off in traffic, or something like that, something that you wish was different. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back and forth between the beginner's exercise and dipping your toe into the memory you want to change, very briefly. And so I'm going to take you into the beginner's exercise. I'll talk you through that. You'll follow along. Then we're going to press pause on that. So what we're doing there is we're connecting neurons, of course, like all thoughts. As you think through the beginner's exercise, that's neurons connecting, triggering feel-good chemicals like endorphin, serotonin, oxytocin. And you start to feel the effects of that. Once you've got that strong, then you press pause on that. You imagine pressing pause on that, and you're going to switch to just noticing the negative memory. And again, the reason we don't spend time in the negative memory is because it's literally neurons connecting in real time with every moment with every thought you're thinking. So if you start thinking about the details of that negative memory, every connection between neurons of those details as you're thinking of them will be starting to pump stress chemicals into your system. So the longer you spend in the negative memory, the more you're pumping stress chemicals into your system. So,
Can I can I just pause for a
yes.
second? So what what I'm doing, if I'm following along, what I'm doing right now is I'm going to pick some sort of an incident, some sort of a thought or a memory that's popping up. Maybe I got a negative comment in an email, or I got somebody said something to me, or so just something that I know is irritating me, bugging me. I feel something around,
Hmm.
some sort of a feeling, but
Hmm.
it's
It's
not
not
a
very
big,
strong.
it's not a
Yeah.
real strong memory. Okay,
Right.
so
Yes.
just
Thank you for
just getting
clarification.
clear about that. Okay, and then
Yes. Clarifying that. Yeah.
focusing on, um, but not going into it too deeply, but there's a sense of just like knowing that there's something there. It's like,
Yes, so I'm gonna describe that as well.
oh,
So we'll do the beginner's exercise. That's neurons connecting, creating feel good chemicals. We're going to press pause on that. We're going to go to the negative memory. As we go to the negative memory, those neurons will connect, and it'll start to produce the stress chemicals. And we're going to notice how strong that feeling is. So 0 to 10. So 0, I can't feel anything. 10, it's very, very strong. So we're going to notice. So we'll go to that memory just long enough to notice how strong the feeling is, but we don't want to amp up the feeling. So what can happen is sometimes we go there and we go, I can't feel anything. Oh, and then we go, we spend time trying to make it stronger. We don't want to make it stronger. We just want to notice what it already
yeah,
is. And like, Steve came up with this analogy, I don't know, a couple of years ago or so, and I think it's a really good one. It's like dipping your toe in a hot bath. You don't want to get into it. You just want to go, oh, okay, it's still hot, right? So let's begin. And of course, pause this video as you go, as you need to think things or feel it or whatever. So let's start with the beginner's exercise. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, and start by thinking of your favorite color. And imagine being surrounded by that beautiful color. Very good. And allow yourself to feel the feeling of that color. Notice what you love about it. Good job. And now think of your subject, that person, animal, place, or activity that you love. And imagine holding them in your arms in a hug. And notice the feeling, the physical feeling of love. Notice where you feel it in your chest or solar plexus. Good job. And now imagine that feeling as a ball of light or energy. And imagine it spreading down to your toes, up to the top of your head, and out to your fingertips. So you're now full of that light, that energy, that love. Very good. Now imagine pressing pause on that and go to the first memory that you want to change. So this is the example memory. So something that perhaps happened recently that you wish happened differently, not too strong. And as you think about that event or that experience, notice how strong the negative feelings are, 0 to 10. So 0, I can't feel anything. 10, it's very strong. Notice where on that scale it seems to be for you. As soon as you notice that, as soon as you have a number, press pause and go back to the beginner's exercise. So back to your color, being surrounded by your color, noticing how beautiful it is. Feel the feeling of it. Hugging your subject. And if it's a person or animal, have they ever done anything funny? They ever made you laugh? And as soon as you've got that feeling very strong, so this is the piece that we want very strong. We want to keep those feel good chemicals amped up. So you can go into details with this. So with your subject and your color, the color is really just to get you into it. But once you've got your subject, the more the more time you spend on details in this good one, the more you're keeping your system topped up with feel good chemicals. And then press pause on that, and let's go back to the negative memory. And now notice how strong it is. 0 to 10. Is it the same? Is it more? Is it less? Just notice. And then press pause on that, and let's go back to the beginner's exercise, back to your subject. You and your subject surrounded by your color. You can add music as well. Add a song you love or music you love in the background. And you can add smells. If you love the smell of coffee or grass or the sea, you add that. So add details to that. No, make sure that you're amping up those feel-good chemicals. When those good feelings are strong, press pause on that. Go back to the negative memory and notice how strong are the negative emotions now. Remember, we don't want to make them strong. We just want to notice how strong they are. So 0 to 10, if it was a 6 before, where is it now? Notice, and then press pause on that and go back to the feel-good chemicals. Go back to your subject and your color and all of the other feel-good things. So you'll do this process back and forward until when you go to the negative memory, you can't feel it. It's a 0. So there's no negative emotions. And so you're just remembering the memory, but there's no negative emotions. And that's when we'll change it, which we'll do in a moment. So if you have any questions or need clarifications on this part of the process, just let me know. What we're doing is reducing the emotional charge to the memory, the negative emotions in the memory, which means that when you connect those neurons, they're not producing stress chemicals as much. And you've topped up, like changing the temperature of the bath, you've topped up your system with feel-good chemicals enough so that you no longer feel the effects of the stress chemicals. Once you've got that, now we can change the memory. So, and you can change a memory without doing that process if it doesn't have any negative charge to it. So the reason we do this is because when we have negative emotions, the brain sees it as dangerous to change the memory. So that's kind of the reason behind that. So now to change the memory, we're literally just going to imagine it differently and then establish that new memory with repetition and with amped up feel-good chemicals. So for example, if so I'm going to use, it's the first one that comes to the top of my head. If I was bullied in school, now I'm the most popular kid in school. So we literally want to change it to the complete opposite. This is not making it just okay. It needs to be fabulous. So if it was, I got into trouble, let's say one that we worked with a lot is parents getting divorced. So instead of being told by my parents we're getting a divorce, I'm being told by my parents we're going to Disney World. That's the kind of complete opposite. You will consciously still know what originally happened, but we want to give the brain the new reference. So you imagine the memory differently, and I'll take you through that. And you want to make sure that you're amping up the feel-good chemicals, so the good emotions. This is where you go into details. So this is where you can add in expressions and conversation and whatever you like that will help to amp up those details. And this should feel fun. It's not a chore. It shouldn't be a chore. It should be fun. For physical activities, replace physical activities with fun physical activities. So some examples are jumping on a trampoline, swimming, playing a sport, doing an activity you love, playing board games. So, there are, let me know if you need ideas for new memories. I'm full of them. So you want the new memory to feel safe, fun, lots of love, that kind of thing. And then, as I say, amp up those memories. So a little piece here is that when you create a new memory, you repeat it over and over like you would a new phone number. So when you change your phone number, when you think of what's my phone number, the old phone number is the first one to come because that's implicit memory, it's the automatic memory. When you change it, you need to repeat the new phone number enough so that you remember it, and eventually so that it's the first number that comes to your mind. So, but you, of course, will still remember you had the old phone number, and you may even remember it, but it's the new phone number that comes to mind. So the repetition is because, again, thoughts are connections between neurons. So as you repeat your phone number, the times table, or as you remember a memory, as you recall a memory, you're firing neurons. When you do that over and over, those connections become established. So there's a Hebb's law in neuroscience is cells that fire together wire together. So they call it wiring, and it's basically that those connections become stronger. So when you change your phone number, for example, the connections of your old phone number are very established. As soon as you think phone number, that's the number that comes to mind. When you start repeating your new phone number, you are physically changing those neural connections in your brain. And in the beginning, they'll still default to the old one. So you repeat it enough, and you're rewiring those connections by repetition. So then the old phone number, those connections atrophy. They are no longer strong, and the new one becomes established. And so that then when you think, and we do the same with the memory. So then when you think of that time in your life, it's the new memory that comes to mind first. And then you can still remember the old memory, but it's the new one that comes to mind first. And that's the one with the emotions, with the good emotions. And so, there was something else I was going to say. I can't remember. Oh, how long do you need to practice? I hear you ask. So it's until it's established. So it's going to vary from person to person and memory to memory, and it'll depend on how you're feeling at the time and all of that. There's a lot of variables, but you'll know that you've done it enough when it's the first thing that comes to mind. Steve, did you want to say anything on that?
No, I think that uh, the practice, the practice of practicing, rehearsing is important. That uh, we can oftentimes, uh, the experience I've had with clients is that they'll get the concept, they will change a memory. And I know that this has been true in my own life too, probably you as well, that, it's like, oh yeah, I can imagine changing that memory, but then it's not going back and practicing it. So that
Yes,
that notion of, if somebody gave you a new telephone number, you can look at it one time, but have I committed that to memory? Is that wired connection, that when I think telephone number, it's just popping to mind. So the practice of rehearsing is just really important, and you won't have to do it forever. Like you didn't have to practice your telephone number forever, or we didn't have to
that's
practice
right.
the concept of, what's two times two. At one
Yes,
point in our life, that was a bit of a struggle, and we had to create those connections in our brain. But once we have those, they become those wired connections, and now they're just popping up
it's
as
automatic. Yeah,
automatic information. And that's
exactly.
essentially what's been going on in our life, you know, f- as we have these old negative memories, some of them stretching back, many of them stretching back to childhood, that those they have just been running in the background. And we have been automatically doing this process in the background and strengthening those old connections unintentionally. It's just the way that the machinery is working in the background. And what we're doing right now is to take control of that process and create new connections. And we want
Exactly.
to build those so that those are what is firing first.
Absolutely. Thank you, Steve, for clarifying that. Yes. And so one of the things I wanted to say as well is that I'm going to give an example. Bonus points for making your memory funny, by the way. So your new memory. So one of the memories that stands out for me that I often use as an example, because it was one of the first memories I changed, was I was about 11 years old, I think, and I was standing in the doorway to my grandparents' bedroom, and my grandfather was sitting on the bed, and I was frozen in the doorway, frightened. And I couldn't remember a lot of detail of that memory. So this is what I want to say as well, is you don't have to remember a lot about it. I just felt frozen, and my grandfather was sitting on the bed with a brown leather belt next to him. And I was just standing there frozen. That's all I could remember. And I changed that memory to where my grandfather, now when I think of that memory, my grandfather is sitting on the bed with a pink feather boa next to him. And he picks it up and he's playing before with it. So it's now a funny memory. So it's safe, it's funny, it's no longer frightening. Now, the reason I'm sharing this is an example of how I can still consciously remember the original because I've been able to tell you that it was a brown leather belt. But it's the new memory that, number one, comes to mind when I think of that moment, and number two, has the emotions. So the emotions of the memory are fun and silly and funny. So I hope that helps to clarify that. Um, I think that was it. Are there anybody got any questions? Let
Well,
us know.
I think so. Basically, go back to the old situation and see what pops up first, right? And if the new imagined memory pops up, you've practiced it enough, correct?
Yes, that's right. Oh, yes, and I see. She says you just answered it. Yes, that's exactly it. Thank you for the comment, definitely, and for the chat. Yes, so it's the first one that pops up, and there are a lot of variations on this. So this is the basic process. Obviously, there's a lot more to it. Um, but this is something that you can get started with on your own. For help, as I said, we have trained certified practitioners, and I'll put the link to the list of them in the description of this video once we finish the live and in a pinned comment. So you can get help with this if you need it, and of course, as we said, with trauma, definitely get help. So a reminder that this is between you and your neurons. This has nothing to do with anyone else. It also won't affect how it won't affect your caution or your common sense or anything like that. Because I know that one of the questions we've had quite often is, but if I change this memory or this memory of this person who betrayed me, doesn't that mean that won't I'll trust them again? And the answer to that is no, that's not what it means, because you won't lose the lessons. You won't lose the lessons you learned. And you won't lose your common sense, because it's your conscious mind that's that's assessing and making decisions. So you'll consciously know, okay, so I'm not going to, get back to trusting that person. You can that at the same time that the unconscious part of your brain is is referring to positive evidence of who you are. So I hope that makes sense. But let us know if you have questions or you need more clarification on any of that.
Yeah, and
Is that it, Steve? Did I include
just
everything?
to go back to your analogy of recoding,
Oh,
you know,
yes, yes.
uh, thinking about the fact that like a computer file that we keep, we it's running in the background, and as life situations happen to us, that code that's running in the background automatically kicks in, and we kick into a reaction. So whatever, however we've reacted to situations in our life, what we're doing now is changing the code so that when we are confronted with or in the presence of these situations, our unconscious mind is going to the new code as
Yes,
opposed to the old code that is
that's
running in the background. And uh, it again, you're going to remember. You're always going to remember what happened originally or actually, but you've got this new information that's been associated in the unconscious part of the brain that
yeah,
is being accessed first. So
yes.
things that used to trigger me, things that used to bother me, it's just incredible to be in a place of recognizing, wow, that's not there. One example,
Yes.
this morning we were on a drive to get to this location, and somebody cut us off stupidly in traffic. And I recognized that in the past, that would be something that would have uh, triggered a bit of road rage for
Hmm.
me. I would have carried that around for who knows? I might have carried that around for several hours
Hmm.
after something like that. But because I've been able to go back and shift and change some of those earlier references in my life, that that trigger of rage or whatever that would pop up is no longer there. So it's always fascinating. It's like, oh, that happened, and there's no reaction. It's not the same reaction that I would have had earlier in my life. So
Yes.
we've changed the code, but it doesn't mean that I've erased, what was there originally.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. All right. And Steve, I must say thank you to you for the extension cord, the extension cable,
Oh, really?
because I'm so aware I would have been sitting here wanting to rush through all of this and worried that my computer was going to go. So
Oh,
so
good, good,
thank
good,
you.
good.
I'm all
Yeah.
plugged in. All right. Well, I think that's it for today. I don't think there are any other questions here.
So
So
yeah, I was just going to say,
tomorrow.
what's on tap for tomorrow?
Yes. So tomorrow, Steve won't actually be here. I'll be here on my own, but I will be taking you through, I'll be answering questions, sharing some case studies, and I think that's probably it. That's
Yeah,
just
case
next
studies.
steps and that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Testimonials.
Yeah.
And again, thanks for
Some
comments.
examples of how this can work for you. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And thanks for comments, questions, and helping us, or all of the feedback really kind of
Yes.
helps us to know which way to go with this, and um, uh, provides, that knowing that what we're doing is actually helpful.
Yes, absolutely. And a reminder that if you would like one of those, a free live rewire session, again, I'll put the link to that form in the description of this video and the pinned comment, and do comment and let us know if you'd like that as well.
Oh, oh, is that is that different than the uh no, I'm sorry. I was reading something else. You're talking about the live
The
rewire. Yeah,
demonstration,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So it's a
Absolutely.
private one-to-one session with me on
Mm,
Zoom, and then we will, with your permission, share that to YouTube, so that people can learn from seeing real life
example.
sessions
Yeah. Yep,
and
yep.
follow along.
Very
All
good.
right. Well, that's it for today. Keep your comments and coming. That's very much appreciated. Do share these with anybody you think would benefit from them as well. And subscribe to our channel and like the videos and all of that. You know the
The
usual.
drill.
Okay.